Hi, this is Judd Logan from Ashland University, and today we're going to talk about the hammer and the weight throw. Welcome to Ashland University. My name's Judd Logan, and I'll be your instructor today for our hammer throw and weight throw video. I'm going to be using two throwers along with me. This is Jake Brooks coming in. Jake is a two-time All-American from Ashland University and was national champion in the 35-pound weight at Division II. This is John McEwen. John graduated from Morningside College in Iowa and has moved to train here in Ashland with me. John threw 215 feet in college and 65 feet with the weight. Last year, in his first year of being in training with us out of college and training for the next Olympiad, was a 73-foot weight thrower and a 230-foot hammer thrower. So both of these guys are going to be helping us out today in our throws. We're getting ready to start with the hammer throw today, and before we get started we just need to go over the basics really quick. Exactly what is a hammer? When I threw the shot put and discus in high school, I had no idea what the hammer was. Although they do it in Rhode Island, here in Ohio they don't have it as a high school event. Most colleges have gone to the hammer throw. Some had traditionally had it forever. The hammer is a 16-pound steel ball for the men, 12 in high school, and 4 kilos or 8.8 pounds for women. Now, although Rhode Island is the only high school or the only state to have the high school hammer, collegiately the hammer is in almost every conference. So what we do is we take that ball, it's got the wire on it, and it also has the handle. So what we want to do is we want to protect the hand. I'm going to have Jake come in here. We've got a couple of options here. Have a standard hammer glove. Now this is a glove that you can purchase from a number of catalogs. I got mine from MF Athletic. And basically, for the rules of the hammer, the tips of the fingers need to be exposed. And it's got a little Velcro fastening. And what this does is it protects the hands from calluses and blisters when you're throwing the hammer. Now you don't need to have an expensive glove as this. You can just do something as simple as just a glove. Now this glove doesn't have the fingers cut out of it, so it wouldn't be legal for competition, but for practice, it's fine. My first ever hammer glove in college was a construction glove that I bought at one of the local stores for about $5, and I just cut the tips of the fingers off, and all of a sudden I had a legal hammer glove. But for training, all we're looking to do is to protect the hand of the thrower. The athlete then places the handle into the hand of the left hand and then covers with the right hand. This is assuming that you are a right-handed thrower. So the right-handed thrower wears the glove on the left hand. We put that on, we cover again with the right hand. We're now ready to begin our throw. One of the things that you do need to do is you need to get a pair of throwing shoes. Very, very important. You can't learn to throw the hammer or the shot put and the discus in a pair of jogging shoes, although some people have basketball shoes. For the hammer, it's very important that you have a shoe that has a sole on it that makes it very easy for the athlete to turn. This is a very slick bottom. It doesn't matter what brand or style of shoe that you have. There's many companies out there that have throwing shoes. But the key is that they have that very smooth bottom that makes it easy for the athlete to turn in the circle. Okay, before we get actually started throwing, I want to talk a little bit about safety and rules. As you can see behind me, I have a cage that is protected. We never throw the hammer where there is an area where there is no cage. The reason that it's not in most high schools is that it's one of the more dangerous events in track and field, and you need the proper setup. So anytime we're out here throwing, The athletes that are not throwing are behind the cage area. One person in the circle per time. Before he makes a throw, he lets the other people out in the field who may be retrieving a hammer know by a simple coming out or heads up that they're getting ready to throw. If they're in near to the circle, then they need to be behind the cage. Safety is always paramount in the hammer. Secondly, the rules of the hammer for competition should be able to be explained by your coaches, but simply you can enter the circle from anywhere as long as after you complete your throw, you leave out the back half of the circle, just like the shot put or the discus. Those rules are the same. The hammer is completed within a 7-foot circle, but for the purposes of training, we like to train on a concrete slab, and we just have our circle just vaguely painted on here, the 7-foot circle. But more importantly is that you just have a concrete slab in which you can do your turns and your throws, and that you do have a cage. What we're going to do now is we're going to bring our athletes out, and we're going to work on the actual winding of the hammer and the actual throwing. The way we do the systematic progression here at Ashland, the way that I found most successful, is that what we like to do is work a progression. First, we bring the athletes out, we teach them what a heel toe is, which is the actual turning movement of the feet. We get them to learn to wind the hammer and to actually release the hammer out of their hands to get what that feels like. And then we'll stop, we'll go back inside or stay outside, but we'll do drills. And we'll have some drills coming up, and that's where most of the teaching of the footwork and some of my coaching philosophies and theories that have helped me become a 3-time Olympian in the hammer throw. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring Jake in, and what we're going to do is just basically go over the simple footwork. I'm going to give him the broom, and I'm just going to have him face me. And what we're going to do is we're going to just have him turn 2 feet to 90 degrees, okay? And this is the starting heel toe position of the first turn. And this is assuming that the athlete is starting on the heel as opposed to a toe turn, which we'll explain a little bit later. So here is our 90-degree position. As Jake steps across the foot, the ball rises up a little bit, and the foot is coming in. He's attempting to see 180 degrees. The foot is coming down at 270. As he turns, then he's coming back to 0. Okay? Now, we need to get that hammer started. And to do that, we need to wind the ball. So we're going to bring John in first with one of the hammers. What I'm going to get him to do is just start with his feet facing straight ahead to the front. And what I want him to do is I want him to start with the hammer in the left hand, and we're going to create a little pendulum action. And that's just a little swinging action. He's going to bring the hammer from back there, and here's the little pendulum action right here. That's how we put energy into the hammer in the start. So he's just going to do that one time. He's going to swing the pendulum up, and then he's going to swing the pendulum back, and then we're going to have him start winding the hammer on the right side. Do a series of winds. There's his pendulum, and then he's just going to wind nice and relaxed. Notice how the hands go behind the ear. They don't come way over here to the left in the first wind. Now, if we want to get a little bit bigger pendulum action, what we'll do is we'll ask him to move his right foot back. This is a start that I use, Lance uses, John uses, and it's a little bit more of a dynamic pendulum start. So the ball's going to start to come up, and it's a little bigger pendulum on the right-hand side. And we're just doing multiple winds here. Good. All right, now Jake, come in, same ball. Now we're going to turn Jake around the other way, okay? We're going to actually have him wind so you can get a little bit better feet to the front, that he would be throwing in that direction. Obviously, he's not going to let it go. He's just going to do the winds. He's going to take it a little pendulum action up, pendulum action back, and he's just going to wind on the right side. Notice that we're not letting the hands come across the face. Notice that the hips are just staying underneath him. Okay, good. Now let's go to the step. casts the ball up. And he's making a little bit bigger pendulum wind on the right-hand side. Okay, good. All right, now we're going to bring John back in, and we're going to put the second wind in. Most throwers, collegiate, high school, world-class throwers, do 2 winds, and then they start their turns, whether they decide to start on a toe and do 4 turns, or whether they decide to start on a heel and classically do 3 turns. Now, sooner or later it's going to come up, what is a better technique, 3 or 4 turns? The world record is held by Yuri Sedik of the former Soviet Union, 286 feet off of 3 turns. So you would assume that this is obviously the best technique. The problem is, last year, the top 10 throwers in the world were all 4-turners. So the majority of the people are doing 4 turns. The world record was set off of 3. So it's whatever suits the athlete best. Okay? So, John's going to wind again. And this time, what I'm going to ask him to do is I'm going to ask him to wind with the feet to the front. Wind on the right side as if this were the first wind. And he's going to do 5 of them, and then he's going to switch to the second wind, which gets a little bit more to the left. Now he's letting this ball come out here because, again, we want a long ball on the left side. Want a long ball. Okay? Good. Now, we can do that same thing with the step, and the way that works is John's going to wind the ball. We'll go 3 and 3 this time. 3 winds on the right, and on the third one, he steps up and he lets the ball run left. His weight centered in the middle. Okay, now we're going to bring Jake in. We're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to have him facing you so you get a little bit better idea. We'll start with 3 winds from the feet to the front. Again, on the right side of the body. And then he's going to let that ball run left, square his chest up, and now he's ready to enter into his first turn. We can do that same thing off the step wind. Cast the ball up. 3 winds on the right. Step. And then 3 winds on the left. As you can see that the ball's starting to run left and he's ready to go into his first turn. Okay, so that's the one thing that we need to do. We need to bring the athletes out. We need to teach them how to wind the ball and understand that on the first wind that we're trying to get the right side involved, that it's a push event. The second wind, we try to let it run a little bit more to the left so that when we start our entry, that ball is working and running into the left. Now, what we like to do before we take them inside and teach them the drills inside, we like to get them the feel of actually releasing the hammer. And we're going to go straight to the step wind with this. And what I'm going to do is, you'll hear my voice, but I'm going to move for safety purposes behind the cage, my little coaching station. And what I'm going to have John do is 3 winds on the right, and then 3 winds to the left, and then let him deliver the ball. No turns. 1, 2, 3, and 1. Let it drop in. 2, 3, turn and deliver. Very good. And what we're working there for, and what was very nice about that throw, was that John was on balance when he finished that throw at the end. You saw he let the low point sweep down, and he turned and he landed on balance. Now, he hasn't done any hammer turns yet. All he's done is the beginning and the end. We'll learn how to do the middle. We'll learn to turn later. But for right now, we're working on the wind and the delivery. Okay, Jake. Should have another 14 there. We're going to cut this one down to 2 winds on the right and 2 winds on the left. Feet are to the front on this time. 1, 2, strikes the ball down, turn and deliver. Good. Now, this is not a drill that we work for distance. This is not a drill that we're trying to throw the ball far. We're just trying to get a feel of the inertia of the hammer. We'll do this drill with beginners, and we'll also do this drill sometimes as a warm-up when we first come out here. we do a little jog, we do some skipping, and we get our body warmed up and ready to go. And we might come in, do a few winds, and then just turn and deliver. At this point, we go back inside and we learn the turning drills. Let's go inside the Conard Fieldhouse now and do more of the teaching aspect of the throw and learn the drills that make you a better hammer thrower. All right, welcome back inside. We're here at Conard Fieldhouse on the campus of Ashland University. This is our indoor track and field facility. It's where we like to do a lot of our drills. Not every high school or college has an indoor facility, but usually they can get a racquetball court, a basketball court, even any slab of concrete is good for doing drills, or a wood floor. What we do is we come in, our athletes know here at Ashland that they're not allowed to throw the hammer until they learn the basic footwork. And the way to learn the footwork is not to go out and try to make a one-turn throw over and over again. The way to learn the hammer is to learn to turn. And that's the big saying that we use here. And our athletes know they have to initially learn to do about 1,000 turns before they ever get to actually go outside and make a hammer throw. And so what we do is we're going to start with the rotary walking drill. And we're going to progress to some hammers. We're going to do a right-hand drill, a left-hand drill. We're going to show you drills for the beginners. We're going to show you drills for the intermediate thrower. And we're going to show you drills for the expert thrower. This is made by MF Athletics, and it was really ingenious. It's a medicine ball. Weighs about 3 kilos, 6.6 pounds. It's got a hole through the middle of it, and it's got a handle. And it's made for various things, baseball players, but what they found is that it was nice with the handle that the hammer throwers could actually use this. Now, we actually use hammers when we do our drills, but some programs, whether it be a high school, you're in a high school gymnasium, or whether you're in an area where the coaches are worried about the safety of the other athletes, then the medicine ball is the perfect way, the medicine ball with the rope on, because it simulates the hammer, the action of the hammer. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with a rotary walking drill. And what we tell the athlete to do is to just put the implement in your right hand and just start a motion of walking, and then just start walking forward. Okay, just get the idea that the hammer throw moves forward, okay, and across. Now what I try to get the athlete to do when we do this is to get an idea of what 0, 90, 180, where all those things are. So let's make that simple. That's the direction I'm throwing. That's 180 degrees. So this would be 0. This would be 90 degrees, 180, and 270. So what we're trying to get the athletes to get a feel for is that we are throwing in the direction of the sector, which is 180 degrees. And so we're trying to get them to keep their head up, their chin up. One of the common mistakes that we see with a lot of throwers when they're learning is that they want to bend their arms and they want to have their head down because they want to look at their feet. And so right from the very beginning, we want to break them of all those inhibitions. Now, whether they use their right hand, their left hand, or both hands when they do the drill in the beginning process doesn't really matter. So as I do this again, I'll try it with both hands. And what I'm trying to do is to get the idea of seeing 180, knowing the direction that I'm going to be throwing at, trying to keep the arms at maximum length. Again, we just start by just walking in place, okay? And then we just start stepping forward. Now again, this is not actual hammer footwork. Every time I come around, I see 180, and I'm keeping the arms as long as I can. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring Jake in here now, have him grab one of our hammers, and I'm going to start him on a set of rotary walking. Now again, Jake is actually throwing with a steel hammer, and again, you want to make sure that you have plenty of clear distance, not too many athletes around, make sure that the wire is properly fixed to the ball, okay? So we're going to start him with both hands. He's not wearing a glove, it's just doing a drill. The arms are long, and he just starts progressing forward. He's not doing proper heel-toe turns, he's just turning Every time he comes around, he's looking in the direction of the throw, keeping his arms long, his chin up, and his posture is good, okay? Now, we'll bring John in and have him do the same drill. Again, shake the shoulders out for me, just relax, let the ball fall down. You don't want to hold it up with the shoulders, and just start moving in the direction. That's it. Now, give me your right foot. Just turn and put the right foot down. Foot, 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 foot. Okay? Good. Now what John did there was, as he started going down the circle, he started progressing down, I asked him to give me a right foot. So what he did was put that foot down, got himself into a solid catch position, turned on the heel of the foot, and just let that ball take him around to another right foot. And that is the basis of learning the drills. So we use the rotary drill as a drill just to get kids who have never thrown before, or to get people who are maybe have taken an extended period off or need to get back to the basics, which we all need to do. You can't just throw. We have a saying here at Ashland that you have to learn to turn. So my kids know that before they're allowed to throw, actually wind the hammer and go out and throw in practice, they have to learn to turn, because too many people go out and they try to throw and they learn bad habits right away. So we're going to break the short arm theory. We're going to break the theory of not looking to 180, and we're going to do this by doing drills over and over again. We usually like to have our athletes accomplish 1,000 turns before they go out and make their initial throw. So if John does a set of right hand or left hand drills and he does 4 sets of 10, that counts as 40 throws. They keep that in their training log. They know that when they start to build up and when they're getting closer to 2 to 3 weeks in of just doing drills and just turning, we all like to throw. That's the best part about why we do shot put, discus, hammer, and javelin. But like in any sport, in any discipline, if you don't work the technique and you don't work the drills that improve the technique, then you're always only going to be able to rely on strength. Okay, now that we've gone over rotary walking, that is hammer throwing or hammer turning in its most basic sense, we're going to get now more of a feel of what actually happens in the event, meaning that we're going to start right from the beginning with the proper heel-toe technique. We're going to bring Jake in here again, and we're going to start with the right-hand drill. Again, he's using the 14-pound hammer, and at certain times we'll throw in the medicine ball or the medicine ball on a rope to show you that you don't need your athletic director saying, well, you can't practice hammer drills because I'm not going to allow you to have that steel ball that's normally thrown outside in our indoor facility. So that's why medicine balls, brooms, boards, all kinds of things, cones can be used. You just need to have a little keen sense of awareness of what you're trying to do here. So we're going to have Jake start on a right-hand drill. What he's going to do is he's going to hold the ball in his right hand only, and he's just going to walk around. Want the ball to be long and just let it hang. He's going to initiate the turn here by stepping right to 180 on the right foot. And he's going to try to keep both feet on the ground for as long as possible and step in the direction of the throw. Start to sit back a little bit so the shoulders get back behind the hammer. Good, Jake. Now, as you see at the end, the hammer started to speed up a lot, okay? When you do this initially, yes, you do get dizzy. That's one of the questions that we always get asked. Oh, I've seen you do the hammer throw before. Aren't you guys dizzy? No, we don't really get dizzy anymore, but when athletes first start turning and do multiple turns, you are going to get to the end of the throw and try to figure out where you're at. That is normal. That is something that builds up with time. Okay, now we're going to bring John in, and what we might want to do this time is maybe focus in more on the footwork. Jake showed you more of the body directions, and we're going to look more for the footwork. What John's going to do is start walking around. He's going to keep his left knee bent. The left knee never leaves the ground. Steps in, the right foot. And he turns over the ankle, steps in, tries to move the right foot forward on a bent left knee. The ball will start to go up, which means the left knee stays flexed. And finish. Good. And as you notice when John was turning there, we have a yellow line that they come down here. Some people use lines of a track. We have, this is an indoor tennis court as well. And what that does is that gives me, as a coach, it gives me an aesthetic line that I can follow John's progression, because the idea is for him to move in a continual straight line with that drill. Now, one of the common mistakes that athletes will make in the hammer throw when they're learning this drill is that they will overturn with their feet, okay? Meaning that as they come in, that this foot swings out around and all the way back. Especially if they've had a high school career in the discus, where the discus, where we teach a wide leg. In the hammer, it's better if your knees stay tight. It was best explained to me once by, imagine that you have a volleyball and you're trying to squeeze it between your knees as you attempt to turn. That's the width that you want that to travel. So we're always trying to get our athletes to keep their knees tight, to keep their footwork progressing. Now, if that right foot always swings all the way back around, I'm not going anywhere. To get direction across the circle, which is very important in the hammer, we need to think of turning on that heel and stepping forward. Notice that the left knee is slightly bent. The arms are long. I'm in a solid catch position. I'm not tipped over here. I've got my chin back. My arms are long, okay? So these are some of the basic things that we learn when we try to teach the hammer. Now, someone might ask, why a right hand drill? You throw the hammer with two hands. The hammer is a push event, okay? It's a push event, which means that for a right-handed thrower, it's a right-sided event. The left side remains passive. That's why we always get the athletes to try to relax their arms and shoulders. Radius is key in the hammer. We want to keep the arms long. The left side is very passive. The right side is very active. So the actual pushing of the hammer is always done with the right side and the right knee. It's all right side driven. So we do the right hand drill, and I'll bring Jake in here for one more, and I'll actually get him when he lands to try to push the ball across his body with the right side to give action of what happens more at a collegiate All-American level or an Olympic level, is that we're working off of each catch to push the ball. And see if you can see this move up. And then he'll wait for me to tell him to hit the ball. Okay, just turning. Now I'm going to tell him when he lands his right foot to hit the ball, and hit, 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 hit. Good. Now you noticed as he started to hit the ball around with his right side, you could see the ball pulse, okay? In the hammer throw, the ball turns you. We talked about biomechanics. The only way to throw the hammer farther is to have a faster hammer head and the proper angle of release. So speed of the ball is everything. We know that radius equals speed. So the length of the arms in keeping the ball long is what's important to turning fast. So that pushing system, that right side in the hammer, is very, very important. I had my first chance to work with the national hammer coach back in 1981. I went to a clinic at Cornell University, thought I was going to learn everything there was about the Russian technique in the hammer, and for 3 days, all he had us do was pushing with a broom and with medicine balls and cones and hammers, and we were only allowed to use our right side. I left a 3-day clinic never getting to make a full throw, thinking that that was a waste of money. My first practice back, I PR'd by 10 feet, personal record. So the right side, I found at an early age, is very, very valuable in learning the hammer throw. Now, you do have to have both hands on the hammer, so there is a left side to the hammer. The left side of the hammer, if the right side is the push or the drive, okay, this is the gas or the accelerator. The left side, although passive, is kind of like the steering wheel, okay? Since we are turning to the left side as a right-handed thrower, the left hand decides where that the system's going to go. So when we talk about the left hand, you're going to hear me coaching a lot about the push and the sling, okay? The sling is a passive movement, but it's where you put the hammer. So what we're going to have them do is come in and do a left-handed drill, and now they're going to walk with just the left-handed drill, and as they come in, you're going to see them work the ball, not in the same aggressive pushing fashion as the right side, but more of a slinging motion. So Jake, come on in there. Again, we start most of these drills off the walk around, okay? Now, when we start actually throwing, we're going to do more of the winding, okay? Come on up a little bit so you give yourself a little room. Now, he's just going to walk around, again, get it started. He's going to relax the left side. What I found that helps relax the left side is for him to put his thumb up, okay? And then he's just going to step in, and he's going to start to turn. Now, what I'm trying to get him to do is keep the ball long on the left side. Long on the left side. The right side is still going forward. Good. Now, there's two ways we can do that drill. We can do it the way Jake just did it, where as he's turning with his left side, he just keeps his right hand beside the ball. What I prefer to do with the beginners is I make them actually tuck their thumb right inside their sweatpants, and that's what we're going to do here with John. And what that'll do is that'll totally relax the right side and make the left side work on its own. So we're going to bring John in. Although a 230-foot hammer thrower, a lot of technique work still needs to be done, so we're going to teach him the same way that I would teach a beginner who has never thrown the hammer. Okay? So he's got his left thumb tucked right inside his shorts there. He's just going to turn, and he's going to step forward, and he's going to let that ball run to 180, long to the left side. Long. Good. Nice and passive. Okay? Now, as you can see, that's not the speed of the throw, but what it is it's the relaxation that's taken to throw far. We're going to talk later about what's important in the weight room, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we are not strong athletes. We've worked very hard in the weight room to get our squat levels well over 600 pounds, but we weren't always that strong, and you don't need to be that strong if you learn at an early age to throw with relaxation. Power and strength is a beautiful thing once you learn the technique, but if you're so strong in the beginning and you can never get yourself to relax those arms and to feel that stretch in the hammer, the hammer is more like ballet more than any of the other events. The shot put is more of an aggressive movement. The discus is more of a speed movement. The hammer needs to be long, it needs to be passive, and then it needs to be dynamic and explosive. Each time he walks around, we usually like to do it off a cadence of 2. He's going to walk around the first time, he's going to look for 180. The second time he sees 180, he's going to step with his right foot and start to throw. Now that's very important because inevitably, every time I teach this drill, the kids want to walk around and they want to start on their left side and they want to initiate the movement because you're turning this way, you always want to see the direction that you're going. What we're trying to do is to keep our head with the system. We're trying to initiate the throw with the right side. So we're going to go just to our standard two walks. He's going to come around, he's going to see 180 once. The second time he's just going to step in. Knees are tight, stepping forward. As the throw starts to get faster, the athlete has to counter the hammer and sit back. Very nice drill. Very nice drill. Now, as you saw the speed of that drill get very quick to the end, that's why it's important that your beginning hammer throwers maybe only use a broom or a medicine ball with a rope on it. Jake's been throwing for 5 years, so we feel very comfortable working with an actual hammer in our drills. And again, most of our drills are done in here during a practice time where we have the field house to ourselves. If we don't, we go outside and we work on a 15-foot concrete pad where the rest of the athletes are behind a safety net or a cage. So safety has to be stressed here in the drills. Okay, now we'll bring John in for the same thing. Going to start walking around. Again, the arms are relaxed. He's going to step forward, starting the movement on the right foot. Right foot needs to move forward a little bit. Stay on the left heel. Okay? Good. Now, his footwork on that throw initially did not step forward as much as it needs to be, and that's what we're working on. And he corrected that, so if you go back and look at that, you'll see that the throw got better And that's you don't have to do every turn perfect. As long as you're working for something and you know that you're trying to keep your knees tight, you know that you're trying to move forward, that is what drilling is all about. You're trying to set the neural pathways that they learn and remember the proper technique. So that's what we're working on here. Okay, so we've done a right-hand drill, a left-hand drill, and a two-handed walk-around drill. That is the basics for the intermediate, or I'm sorry, for the beginning thrower. And what we'll do after that is we'll say, okay, now how do we segment the throw? Before we move to the intermediate drills, we're going to talk about slowing things down so you can actually see what happens. Okay? Now, here's your key to technique, the $6 house variety broom. And what you're going to do is basically, some people who do clinics use a golf club, some people just use a pole cut off at the end. But what something like this does is that if I were to try to hold the hammer, obviously the wire and ball would fall down and I wouldn't have a chance to stop myself at the positions. So what we want to do with Jake is we want to have him put the hammer broom in his hand. And again, his feet are both facing me. They're both square to 0. This is the apex or the triangle of the arms that we like to keep long. We take the sternum, the arms, everything is set. Now, what we want to do is we want to determine where is 90 degrees. So we're going to have Jake turn 2 feet to me over here to 90 degrees. Okay, at 90 degrees, he's still, both arms are long, the ball is at 90, both of his feet are pointing right at me. Now, as a coach, what you want to do at this point is come in here and just give a little gentle tug on the broom. 9 times out of 10 in the beginning, you'll pull the athlete right over because he'll have too much weight over his toes. Okay? So at 90 degrees, I give a little tug. Jake's got a little counter right there because he's countering with his feet. That's the 90-degree position of the turns. Okay? Now, as he starts to turn the ball to 180, the foot comes forward, and now the broom or the hammer has risen slightly. Okay? The arms are still long. The right foot down here has come in forward. It didn't come all the way around. And so he's got the catch on the hammer. Okay? We always try to catch at 180 in the drills. In actuality, in the throw, the catch will happen closer to 270. Okay? It's almost physically impossible to catch at 180, but that's where you have to be in your mind, stepping forward, trying to catch at 180. So Jake now has his catch at 270. As that happens, the hammer starts to come down to its low point, and now we find him back at 0. At 0 this time, though, his foot placement has changed a little bit because he has stepped forward. He has got a lead on the hammer. He's countering a little bit more because the forces are now down here a little bit lower. And as he goes into his second turn, as it comes through 90 this time, the ball is starting to sweep even higher, okay? Even higher. So this is the high point, okay? It's like a pendulum on a clock. It has a high point and a low point, and this is what powers the ball. So we have a high point at 180. As the catch comes, it starts to sweep back down to a low point. We like to basically keep the low point in front of you at 0, the high point at 180. Okay? Thank you very much. Okay? So that is a very basic thing that we do. Now, let's imagine the camera is 0, and behind me is 180. Okay? So I have it at 0. Now I'm actually turning back into the catch because that's where we pick up the wind. Okay? And then I work on pushing the ball to 90. From the catch, push the ball to 90. Again, this is something I can't do with a hammer, okay, because I could never hold it in this position. The chin is back. We don't come down like this. We stay down. And whether we're starting on the toe or whether we're starting on the heel, doesn't matter. We go from our catch, the hands pass slightly under the chin to 90 degrees. At 90 degrees, we step forward, the ball goes up on its own. The biggest thing we want to avoid at this point is the athletes using their shoulders. We stress hands, hit the ball. You'll hear me talk out on the field about hitting the ball, striking the ball, pushing the ball, but you'll never hear me say lift the ball, shrug the ball, pull the ball, none of those things, because they hurt the path of the hammer. So again, can't stress enough, a long ball is a fast ball. What we're going to do now, since we're speaking to high school and predominantly college and above athletes, we're going to move on to the intermediate drills. And these are some of the drills. The next one we're going to do is called a wraparound drill. This drill was introduced to me by 1956 gold medalist Harold Conley, a very inspirational figure to me in my hammer career. Harold taught me this drill, the importance of letting the ball run from the right side to the left side. And we'll talk about that more when we're out on the field in our throwing. You'll hear me talk about letting the ball run, the pathway of really letting the ball get long on the left side. But again, Harold Conley showed me this drill, and we're going to have Jake come out here. And this is a drill that's sometimes done with a little heavier ball, so it gives you a better feel, at least for us that it is. And he's going to use an 18-pound hammer here. And what he's going to do is he's just going to get into a basic squat position. When we turn in the hammer, we like to keep the hip height at one level. So what he's going to do is he's just going to wrap this ball around to his left hand, back to his right hand, to his left hand, back to his right. He does that about 3 or 4 times, each time trying to let the right hand come across the chest in a pushing motion. And then eventually he's going to let that ball go to his left hand, and then he's going to start turning with the right hand and then put the left hand on. And he's going to start into his basic turns. Again, working on the counter, the foot moving forward, the tight knee action. Very good, Jake. We'll bring him back in for another one of those. Jake is very, very good at this drill. It was one of the drills that he came to live at my house or in my town one summer because he really wanted to learn more about the hammer. So he came to North Canton, and you know, I really didn't know if he was going to be any good at the time. And I'm like, okay, Jake, just do wraparound drills. I had just learned it from Harold, and he basically spent the summer doing wraparound drills, and he came back the next year and made All-American in the hammer at Ashland. So I guess it's a pretty good drill. So he does it really well. We're going to have him do it again. What I want the athlete to notice, and it may be hard to see, as he's passing the hammer around, he actually has the handle in the outside of his right hand, and then he passes it to the finger of his left. As it comes back around, he's grabbing on the outside of the handle, and then again with the left hand. So when athletes first try, they think they've got to hold their hands right here, and it makes it tough to switch the hammer. So he's just grabbing right here, and it takes a little bit of practice. And we do this drill mostly outside because there are times when you're learning to pass it around where it'll just slip right out of your hand. So this is a drill that traditionally we'll do outside, and a drill that we've showed you where we actually do release this drill. Okay, we're going to have him do it one more time. Have him do about 3 wraps around his body, working on getting the ball long to the left, and pass it to the hand, and start turning. As he starts going, we're going to get more of a counter, a nice sit back. Perfect. Very important in the hammer that that ball pass long. Thanks, Jake. Pass long out to the left. As that ball starts turning, there's more centrifugal force. That ball starts pulling. If you do not counter the ball, or in simplest terms, sit back. Now I'm going to have John come out here, and I'm going to explain counter the best way I've ever seen it without the hammer. The best way I've ever seen it explained, okay? Now, if I have a hammer right here, and he's high on his legs, and that ball starts to get stronger, then he's just going to get pulled right over. Now, any good athlete who's ever played any sport knows if you're playing football or whether you're throwing the hammer, that this is not a very athletic position. But the ready position of a basketball player ready to jump, a linebacker ready to tackle, or a hammer thrower countering the hammer, we like to call that the athletic position. Now, I have faith in John. He's just going to take my hands right there, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit back. And what I'm doing right now is I'm using John's body to counter. If he were to let me go, I'd fall flat on my duff. Okay, that's what happens in the hammer. As you start going faster, and you could really see it in Jake's last throw in that wraparound drill, watch as he got going further into the throw, how he started sitting back. And where that sit back happens is right off that catch of that ball. He comes in, he puts that right foot down, he sits right there, and he's sitting behind that heel, right there, sitting behind the heel. So if he's catching here, and he comes down, and he's pulled over here, then he's gonna fall right over with the hammer. There's no counter. So the counter to the hammer, which is you opposing the ball with your body and feeling that sit back right there, okay? And the harder you sit back, the faster the ball will sweep through. Ball speed, doesn't matter. You can see kids who look like they're just turning as fast as can be, and you think the ball's gonna go really far, and then it just falls short in the field. Always watch the hammer. If you watch the hammerhead, you'll see the speed of the ball. Okay, so that's the wraparound drill. And again, that's a drill we usually do off 4, 5, 6, and 7 turns off of a pad, where we'll actually let that drill go because it's a very dynamic drill. It gets the ball moving very quickly, and it's a drill that we use to really think about pushing the hammer left and fast. This is real simple. We start with a 2x4 that's probably, I don't know, 3 feet long. And because what we want to do is, when you have your hands in real close with the hammer, you have a tendency to really pull on the hammer. The wider you get your hands, you'll find that you can't pull because now you have to turn this board as a system. This drill was taught to me by Stuart Toger back in 1984. When I was training for my first Olympics, and it was used at great length by former American record holder Dave McKenzie. Now, most times you do this drill, you normally don't end up releasing the hammer. Okay? So what John's going to do, and I'm actually going to bring him up here a little bit more, he's going to start in the walk-around position, just letting the board hang and nice and relaxed. Sees 180, he's going to step forward, and he's going to start to turn. You can see how relaxed his shoulders are, and there's no way that he can drag or pull that hammer. Good. Traditionally, when kids learn, they want to accelerate with the side that they're going to. So if a kid's turning, most times he's going to turn like this. So he's actually turning in ahead of the hammer, or beating the hammer around. This is not something that we're looking to do. Again, we talked earlier about that apex and that triangle and pushing the ball. So what the board drill does is it makes the athletes relax, because a lot of times once they learn the fundamentals, then they start getting in the weight room and start getting a little stronger. Then they start to feel their oats a little bit, and they decide that they're going to pull on the hammer because it feels good. So what we'll do is we'll make them get on the board and get them back to that relaxed position. So we'll have John try that one more time. Traditionally, usually take like a small nail on one side and a small nail on the other side in case the handle starts to move out. But this is a specially designed handle for this board, and we've got some athletic tape here so it doesn't move out, but it's a little safer if you have 2 nails on each side there, just little nails. You can get him to bend his knees a little bit more, stay down, see 180, and turn. Feels a nice push with the right hand side. The knees are tight, the foot moving forward. Very nice counter. Thanks, John. That's one of our intermediate drills that we use, the wraparound drill. Again, mostly with the board drill, we don't like to release the hammer unless you want splinters in your fingers. What we do is the athlete gets better. Each week, we'll take another inch off that board. Eventually, we'll be down to our competitive season. We'll be doing our turns with a 1-foot board, and now that more simulates the action of the actual throw. So this is something that you can use in progression. Start with a longer board, about 3 feet, so that your arms are out and the torso is relaxed, and then you can bring that board down into a smaller board so it more resembles the event. Those are some of the intermediate drills that we use here at Ashland to help the hammer throwers get a better feel for what actually goes on in the event. As we mentioned earlier, nothing beats good old-fashioned 2 winds, 3 or 4 turns, and knowing how far you're throwing in practice. But like anything, you have to put the work in behind the scenes, and that's where the drill work comes in. We started with some of the beginning drills. They're drills that I do even as a 268-foot thrower. They're drills at the beginning of the year. I go back to the rotary walking, the right hand, the left hand. It's just that I progress through them quicker than what some of my freshmen or younger throwers might do. Then we talked a little bit more about our intermediate drills, the board drill to get that relaxation, the wraparound drill to get that dynamics of what happens in the throw. I promised a couple of the expert drills. People are like, I know that there's some drills that you do, that you've learned, and don't hold them back from us. We want to know what the expert drills are. And for me, one of those drills is a 2-ball drill. Now what I've got here is 2 14-pound hammers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the basic walk-around position. And what 2 hammers does is it enables me to work on my right side push, my left side sling. Now I've got 2 14-pound hammers, so that's 28 pounds of pull, more than the normal 16-pound hammer. So it's a tremendous drill for working counter. Okay? So I'm going to start walking around. My knees are slightly bent. Step to 180, turn. As I push, I'm pushing, slinging, seeing 180, trying to keep my knees tight, and trying to feel the counter of the ball. Now at the end of that drill, it's going to be hard for you to stop because 2 hammers really make you speed up your progressions. It really gives you a lot of centrifugal force, okay? Jake's actually pretty good at this drill as well, so we're going to bring him in so I can save my oxygen. Again, this is a drill we like to have our athletes keep their thumbs up so there's more of a relaxation so they don't grip the hammer. Walk around a couple times till he sees 180. Thumbs are up. He's going to step forward, initiate the movement on the right side. He's got a nice counter. We're working 2 feet on the ground a long time. Start to sit back with the chin a little bit. There you go. Good. Now as you watch that throw, again, like I said, tough to stop on that drill. As you watch that throw, notice that right before I said to Jake to counter the ball, he was in a position where he was starting to get a little forward. And all of I said, counter the ball, whoop, his chin went back and the ball's just struck through. That's what happens on a really good throw. This next drill was taught to me by Stuart Toger. Stuart is the national hammer coach for the United States. He's the personal coach of Lance Deal out in Eugene, Oregon, who was the silver medalist in the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta. Lance has been a teammate of mine. Stuart has worked with me. He was the coach actually in 1981 at Cornell that made me do all those right hand drills. And Stuart is a master of the drills. He can do them, he can teach them, and it's amazing what he can do with this. But one of the things that he does is as you progress as a thrower, we're going to talk about single and double support phase. Simple biomechanics tell us that when you have 2 feet on the ground, that is double support. When your right foot lifts, you're in single support, okay? Now, you cannot accelerate the ball when the right foot is in the air. Simple biomechanics tell us that you must have 2 feet to apply force. Once this foot comes off the ground, you're either staying the same or actually slowing down. So, obviously we want to have 2 feet on the ground for as long as possible so we can get maximum acceleration. As you get faster in the throw though, you're going to have to work the right foot off the ground so you can snap the foot into the next turn to stay up with the ball. So it's a double-edged sword. Coaches, I would recommend in the beginning, teach your athletes to keep their feet on the ground for as long as possible. Double support phase, actually trying to think of turning 2 feet all the way into 180 degrees. Now, sooner or later, they're going to get some video of myself or world record holder Yuri Sedek, and they're going to say, Coach, but in the video, they're lifting off at 90 degrees, okay? In essence, that's what eventually happens for a world-class thrower. But if a beginner or a college student tries to lift off at 90 degrees, they'll never have enough ball speed to get them all the way around, okay? And without getting too complicated, work initially on double support. Some of you out there are like, okay, I've got that. I want to throw farther now. I want to start to think about getting that right foot off the ground sooner. One of the drills that Stuart taught us is the 2-ball drill. And then he really showed us one that took me years and years to learn how to do correctly. And that's the 2-ball reverse foot spin drill. And it sounds crazy, and it may be one that you need to watch in slow motion to actually see what the action of the foot is. Okay? So this might be a drill best done by watching the feet only. Okay? I'm going to start like I normally would. I come in on my right foot, reverse pivot, heel, reverse pivot, heel, reverse pivot, heel, reverse pivot, around and around. Okay, what that does, as you'll notice, is it makes you spin quicker off your right foot, and it makes you accelerate the system, and it actually throws you forward into the direction of the throw. And that's what happens in the actual throw, is that you want to have good direction. Okay? I'm going to try that one more time. This is a little tougher surface to do this drill because you need a faster surface. I'm going to step in, reverse out, try to keep my knees tight, do a regular heel turn, reverse, heel, reverse, heel, reverse. Okay, coaches, what we're going to do is we're going to wrap things up here with what we can do to work on the delivery, because even some of the best turners, including myself, have always had a little trouble with anticipating or wanting to finish that throw too early. So we're going to talk a little bit about what happens in the delivery and what are maybe some of the drills that we could do to fix that. I'm going to bring John in again here, and I'm going to ask him to get the broom. Again, our very expensive training tool. A little secret the Russians taught us here with the broom. And what we're going to do is right here, he's going to be in a seated position. The ball's at 0, okay? And this is the delivery. As the hammer finishes, the release is there, the right foot holds, and then the implement is released into the throwing area. Now that in itself is not a drill. So what we've got to get the athlete to do is turn back, like he's going backwards in the catch, get the ball up to the high point on the catch, and then what I'll ask John to do is to sweep the ball to 0, back to the catch, sweep the ball to 0. Now at this point right here, his left shoulder has moved ahead a little bit too much, so we're trying to get him to relax that shoulder, okay? And we don't want the head to move ahead going into the delivery. We want it to be right there. So back to the catch. Now from this time, I want you to go sweep through 0 to 90, right there, and then the ball would just strike right up into the delivery, okay? And what we actually can do is very simply is I replace the broom with just a standard medicine ball. Again, this is a 3-kilo medicine ball. And I say, turn back into the catch to 0, back to the catch to 0, and this time from the catch all the way through to the delivery. Turn and deliver. And he turns and actually releases the medicine ball. He's got his teammate down there that rolls the ball back to him. He gets back into the same position, back to the catch and deliver. That's it. Nice and high, working on pushing with the right hand in the delivery. What I can also do is, again, we're forgetting about the winds for right now, and what I'm going to say to John is to take the ball from 0 back to the catch. Then I want you to do a 1 heel turn and deliver. Nice and easy, just do a heel turn, step, and deliver. okay? When we throw the hammer, we want to finish with both feet turning in the direction of the throw, our belly button or torso finishing into the throw. But initially when doing these drills, it's okay if the athlete has to step forward a little bit. So as I come back here and I deliver, I'd rather have them step forward like that than make the classic mistake of throwing like this, falling back away from the hammer. This is the biggest mistake on delivery. The left shoulder comes in early, the athlete throws and falls back away from the hammer. So we actually teach them to work on the direction, catch with a nice relaxed hands, ball passes under the chin, back to the catch, turn through and deliver. Again, I can take that to a one turn. Right from here, my feet are square, right foot slightly back. Bring it back to my catch. Do a one heel turn throw, turn and deliver. If you're a toe turner, we usually work on a toe and one heel. Okay? So this time I'm going to enter on the toe. More like an entry, a little flatter, then to a heel, turn and deliver. What you can do with those medicine balls is work against the wall. So I get 10 feet from a wall and I turn and deliver, ball bounces off the wall, I catch it, take it right back into a delivery position and work on your delivery. Remember, you always want to do them the other way as well. If you develop one side of the body, you need to also work the antagonist side. So you want to make sure that you work both sides of the body. So you don't have to do as many, but what we'll do is come here and I'll take it back as if I was left-handed and I'll just turn and deliver. Very much like a left-handed thrower would, but what that does is it works the antagonist muscles and makes you a little bit more athletic. You don't actually have to think of turning the other way, but make sure that you develop those trunk muscles in the rotation, that you're strong on both sides. Okay, welcome back out to the field. Like I said, we're trying to make a systematic progression. We learned the rules and the safety of the hammer. Then we started to learn what goes into the wind. We worked on the delivery. We went back into the field house and we've worked on some drills and some theories. And now it's time to see if those theories can turn into actual throws. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the actual releasing drill, and that is the walk-around drill. So what we're going to do is have Jake come in here, get one of the hammers, and I'm going to, again, for safety purposes, I'm going to leave and talk him through the drill. But he's going to do, we usually do one more turn in the drills than they are a thrower. Meaning that Jake is a 4-turn thrower. He starts on the toe. So we usually have him do the drill for 5 turns since he's not doing any winds. So this will be a 5-turn walk around with delivery. Like we did inside. Two, 3, 4, 5. Okay? You give him another hammer there, John? Now that first drill, he didn't have the best counter and his foot was coming across a little bit. So this time we're going to try to get a little bit more direction with the right foot. Checks the landing area for safety. Walk around, sees 180, steps to the right foot. Push, start to sit back. 4, 5. Good, much better. Okay, what we're going to do now is we just had Jake do 2 of our walk-around drills. We're going to have John come in with an 18-pound hammer. And we use 3 different hammers at Ashland, basically. We use the 14-pound hammer, the 16-pound hammer, and the 18. The 16 is our competition hammer, and our 18-pound hammer helps us counter the ball more, gives us specific strength that you need for the hammer. The 14-pound hammer is lighter, and it gives you the speed patterns that you need for the hammer. You can get it done with one hammer. I threw my first 4 years at Kent State University with one hammer. It's just better that if you have the opportunity in your budget where you can get 2 or 3 hammers, it's better to have a slightly lighter hammer and a slightly heavier hammer. So we're going to have John do the walk around drill here, 5 turns, which is 5 right foot contacts, and I'll count that out for him, and he'll do a 5-turn throw. Going to let the ball dangle just like inside. C180, and 1, 2, ball goes up, 4, 5, and he lets it go. Okay? Now we're going to bring Jake back in, and he's going to take the progression of that drill to what we worked inside, and that's the wraparound drill. So I'll have him do 2 in a row here with the 14-pound hammers. These drills can be done with the 16, the 18. It doesn't really matter. Gets to the front of the circle, gives himself a nice knee bend, and he starts to pass the ball to the left side. Going to try to let the ball run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do sets of 1 or 2 when you throw. After that, you need about a 2 to 3 minute recovery to walk out and get your hammer, and also so that you have good awareness in the circle. Again, notice that he keeps a flexion in his left knee. He's got a nice sit, long arms, passes the ball, and then it starts to go up. There's a counter and a lifting. Okay, nice drill. All right, we've gone through our 2 releasing drills, and we normally start each practice with 1 or both of those drills for 5 to 6 throws to ingrain the technique that we've been working on inside with our learning to turn drills. So now we're going to progress to the throw. We're going to bring Jake in here first, and he's going to do a 4-turn throw. We're going to go straight to what a 4-turner does. The 4-turner is going to start usually with his feet splitting 0 at the back of the circle here at 0 degrees. And as opposed to starting on that heel, the toe turner is going to come around on his toe. Now the reason they come around on their toe is that we only have 7 feet in the circle. The toe turn was best explained to me as another wind. We use 1 wind to get the ball moving, the 2nd wind to get the ball to run left. We use the toe turn as kind of like the 3rd wind to set the throw up, that when we catch, then we start on the heel. The 3-turn technique needs more of a dynamic start. They usually need to wind harder, and then they're starting directly on the more powerful heel. So what we're going to do is to start off here, although they're both 4-turn throwers, John has 3-turned at one point in his life, as I have. I am currently 4-turning. I've thrown over 260 feet off of 3 turns and 260 feet off of 4 turns. So it's what suits the athlete best. 4 turns seems to be the more traditional technique, but for a lot of kids who are primarily shot putters and discus throwers, and the hammer is your 2nd or 3rd event, you may feel more comfortable just doing 2 or 3 heel turns. So what we're going to have Jake do is, we talked earlier on the winds, we're only going to do 1 wind on the right. He's going to have both feet to the front here to start off, and then he'll take another throw with the step wind, so you can see both approaches to the 4-turn throw. So this will be a 4-turn throw, starting on the left toe with 3 heels to follow, feet to the front. Again, this athlete is not throwing for distance. On the right side and left, toe, 1, 2, 3. Okay, very nice. So that's actually a 4-turn throw, but there was a toe turn followed by 3 heels. So we'll bring Jake in again, give him a little repetition, and this time we're going to go to the step wind. It's basically the same throw, except this time he's going to go to more of a dynamic pendulum start. Walks into the circle, he casts the ball up, has a little pendulum on the right side, the ball runs left, toe, heel, 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 and deliver. Okay, very good. Now, we're going to bring John in. John is going to start like more of the traditional three-turner, and the three-turner has to wind the ball a little bit stronger, and he's going to start on the heel. Now again, John three-turned at one time in his career. All three of us are currently doing four turns, but know how to switch back and forth just for the purposes of learning. So for the first throw, let's assume that you're primarily a shot putter and your coach wants you to learn the hammer. Now, three turns may totally boggle your mind, but I think that we can teach you two heel turns. So we're going to have you start about halfway in the circle, and we're going to have you start with your feet to the front, and we're going to have him do two winds and two heel turns. Okay? Wind on the right side, back to the left, and heel and finish. Very good. Okay? Now, if he progresses to the point where he says, Coach, I feel pretty good, but I need a little bit more energy in the wind, then what we're going to do is we're going to take him to the dynamic step wind. This is the start that we both use. And we're going to keep him with two turns, but it's going to be dynamic. Pendulum up, big wind on the right, step to the front, sit to the heel, 1, 2, and deliver. Very good. The next thing we'd like to talk about is, Coach, how far or how hard should I throw in practice? We don't like to get wrapped up in the tape measure, because if you're spending the whole time measuring every throw, then you're not working on your technique and you're not getting your proper volume of throwing. A lot depends on, is the hammer your primary event? And I'm talking to most of you as if it is. And if you're a hammer thrower like myself, then you need to throw the hammer. You need to get out 3 to 4 times a week. You need to do your drills, and you need to take between 15 to 25 throws per practice, depending on what your time frame is for your practice. The other thing you need to determine is what works best for you, the toe turn or the heel turn. Again, I've experimented with both. I'm currently using the 4-turn technique starting on the toe. What that gives you an opportunity to do is to wind more relaxed, to enter a little bit slower, since that toe turn is like a third wind. If you're going to be a 3-turner, then you're going to have to wind stronger and use the ball right from the get-go and be off to the races. What we're going to do now, those last couple throws that John and Jake took, are what I like to say, they're rhythm throws, which means that we're working on technique. They're not really mattering where the distance is going. They're just working on trying to stay in the center of the system, push with the right side, relax the shoulders, keep the chin back, a slight bend in the left knee, and that's a lot of things to think about. The hammer is a very technical event, but what we try to do is make it simplistic by just using it as a motion or turning as a system, and then all those things work together. When we want to throw a little bit harder, I'll tell them in practice, all right, now let's bring these throws up to tempo. Tempo means that they're going to use the ball a little stronger on their winds. They're going to use the ball a little stronger later in the throw to really accelerate the system right into the finish. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring Jake in now. We're going to show you the difference between a rhythm and a tempo throw. So he's going to take his hammer. His first throw is going to be rhythm. Let's say the first one's going to go about 190 feet. Then he's going to use a tempo throw, and that should be about 210 feet. So there's the difference between the rhythm and the tempo, and see if you can pick up how he uses it differently. The first throw will be more relaxed. The second throw will be more dynamic. Neither throw will be all out. Okay, we got a rhythm throw. Got a nice long ball, running left, knees are tight, sit, counter, finish. Nice. Nice rhythm. Very technical, on balance. We bring him in for a second throw now. That throw is about 190 feet. Now we're looking for Jake to throw a little bit further without really going all out. So now we're going to use a little stronger tempo. Where that tempo begins is in the second wind. We're going to have a little bit more energy into the pendulum. It's going to pendulum up, a little bigger wind, which is more ball speed, left, and push the ball. Now, finish. Notice he fell off the finish a little bit, but he got an additional 20 feet. So there's always some give and take. John's going to start with 2 winds and 3 heels. I'll give him his choice of starting with feet to the front or the step wind, whatever he feels more comfortable with. He's going to do 3 heels. Nice, easy rhythm. A long ball. And work the ball up, up, up. And then he finishes, nice balance. Now I would tell John he needs to get a little bit more direction on this next throw. So by using a stronger ball, it's going to take him across the circle a little bit stronger. Needs to step in the direction of the throw a little bit better on this first heel. He's going to make a bigger first wind. He's going to use the ball crossed and push, 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 and then finish. And just from changing from a rhythm to tempo, picked up another 20 to 30 feet. The rhythm and tempo throws make up about 80% of our practice. We start with our drills. Beginning of the year, we may do as many as 10 or 15 drills at the beginning of practice with actual releases, but most of the drill work comes inside with our med balls and our hammers. But the rhythm throw is where you learn. It can't be so slow that you don't have balance, but it can't be for distance all the time that you never learn anything. But it comes a time in practice where you need to finish with a couple hard throws. We call those up-tempo. These are still not all-out throws. All-out throws happen on competition day. You have to save your energy. You have to save your psyche for those competitions. That's why they are competitions. But in practice, we like to finish with a couple up-tempo throws. So what we would do is we would use the progression of, instead of a rhythm and a tempo, we're going to let them take a tempo and an up-tempo throw. So the tempo throw, we're still looking for technique, we're looking for dynamics. The up-tempo throw, you don't throw technique out the window, you just see by going stronger and getting into a little bit more of a competitive frame, how much you can retain. So the up-tempo throws are more of a test to see where you're at. So we'll bring Jake in here first. He'll do a tempo throw and then an up-tempo throw. Okay, this is a 4-turn tempo throw. Let's get a big wind. Let it run left. Knees tight, sit, sit, and finish. Very nice. That had a real nice tempo to it. This is a 4-turn up-tempo throw. Big wind. Use the ball. Use it, use it, use it. Finish. Okay, you'll notice on tape that he fell off the delivery a little bit and that his arm started to shorten. Although it was a further throw than any throw he made today, it was not his best throw. So John's going to do a 3-turn tempo throw. Big wind. Push, 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 finish. Okay? Pretty good. Technically would have passed. Now we're going to come in and we're not going to worry so much about technique. We're just going to see what the throw gives us. Going to let him use the ball a little bit here. Push, push, push. Very aggressive finish. The point to be made here is both of those guys finished up their practice today with their farthest throws of the day. If you look back, though, you'll see that they weren't the best technical throws of the day. So on a competition, it's about throwing far and it's about winning. And what you do is you give your best technique. If you're one of those type of kids that comes in and your coach has coached you so much that you're afraid to make a mistake, then you're going to throw like a robot. What we try to do with the athletes here at Ashland University and the athletes who come from other universities to train after they've graduated for the Olympics, we try to get them to not to be afraid to make a mistake, to get in there and take a hard throw and see what the competition gives you. And then we film that throw, we look at it, we let you see where your critical mistakes were made. John was falling towards his right leg a little bit on that one. He straightened back off his left leg. but the ball went further because he's established in his mind the systematic progression of rhythm, tempo, and up-tempo. So now we'll look at the tape, we'll go back and we'll say, okay, what drill can we do to fix that? We come back out for the next practice, we start with our drills, 5 throws, we'll get probably 10 to 15 rhythm throws in, very technically sound. We'll go up tempo, and if I think he's ready for it, we'll let him take some tempo throws and get after another one. So what I'll do is I'll give these guys one more tempo throw, one more up-tempo throw to finish the day, just one throw, one ball, and see if they can improve on their distance as a test, but yet still striving for that perfect technique. Okay, Jake. All right, last throw of the day, 4-turn, up-tempo. Go ahead and get after it. See what your technique gives you. Okay, good. Better technical throw, and it was his farthest throw of the day. It beat his other throw by another 3 to 4 feet. His technique was better, his intensity level was good. Let's see if John can do the same. 2 winds, 3 turns, up tempo. Go ahead and get after it. Use the ball. Up, 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 up. Much better finish. Stay there, John. And what John did really nice on that throw, in the second turn, he kind of collapsed to the system there. But he used the ball strong enough in the third turn and did what we've been working on, is getting him back through his left side on the delivery, and it was a really nice finish. You corrected a mistake that you had in the beginning of the throw. I'm glad that we got that one on film, because it showed that you can turn a setback like that into a positive and still finish, and that ended up being another 8 to 10 feet farther than his other throws today. So, nice job. Okay, that about concludes our practice for today. We're going to go back and talk a little bit about the 35-pound weight throw. I tried to show you a little bit about what I do in my technique when I did some of the drills. And what we're going to try to do is include my American record throw, 268 feet 8 inches from the Penn State Invitational in 1988, so you have a chance to see some of my technique. Okay, welcome back to Conard Fieldhouse. We've gone through a number of things today in the hammer. So you can see it's taken some time. It's a complicated event. It's something that we try to teach in a systematic, simplistic fashion. Many of you who compete in college and some in high school know that the indoor season for the hammer is the weight. As the discus thrower has no indoor season, the shot putter throws the indoor shot. In the hammer, we go to the weight season. At the college level, we throw the 35-pound weight, and above the college level, we compete at the national championships each year. We throw the 35-pound weight. Myself, I've thrown the weight over 80 feet. I'm only one of only 2 people, myself and Lance Deal, ever to have broke the 80-foot mark in the weight throw. So what we're going to do is teach you a little bit, because we know that you all throw the indoor weight in the season. Basically, there's 2 types of weights. Jake's going to come in here and show you more of a soft shell weight. Just hold that up. This is what we call the bag, and it's simply just some straps along a 33-pound medicine ball. The weight of the whole thing is 35 pounds. You can see it's much shorter than the hammer. A good throw for a collegiate with the weight is between 50 and 60 feet. When Jake was national champion, He threw near 64 feet. John was third in the country last year at the entire USA Nationals. And John's holding a 35-pound ball. It's the exact same length as the one Jake's has, but it's more of a hard shell. It bounces more. And either weight, they both weigh 35 pounds. They're both the same length. And either one that your program uses will be satisfactory. First thing we like to teach in the weight is similar to the hammer, is how to deliver the weight. So what I like to do is take Jake first and just have him come into the circle, and then John come right back behind here. And what we're going to do is what we call a sling delivery. And all Jake's going to do is he's going to cast the ball up in the pendulum fashion, and he's just going to turn back and deliver the weight. He's not going to do any turns. He's just going to pendulum up, pendulum back, and turn and deliver the weight. Okay? That's called a sling delivery. Now we're going to have John come in and do the same thing. It's a shorter, heavier ball, but it's a faster ball because it has a shorter radius. Pendulum up, pendulum back, turn and deliver. Notice how he lifts with the legs. In the 35-pound weight, much like the hammer, we work within the confines of a 7-foot circle. Most circles have a sunken rim, and it's something so you can block your feet against when you do. If you're throwing and you make your throw to the sector area and it lands outside the sector, that is a foul. Or if your foot comes over or steps on the rim, that is also a foul. The next teaching progression that we do is we take the weight and we're going to teach the athletes just to do one wind and to turn and deliver the ball. So we're going to bring Jake in here, and he's going to do a one wind delivery. The sling delivery gives you the feel for the pendulum. The wind gives you a little bit more of the inertia. So he's just going to wind the ball one time right in front of him. Right to 0 degrees, and then turn and deliver. Good. And now John. Same type of thing. Going to simplify the wind, put the ball right to 0 in front of us, and turn and deliver. Nice lift with the hands. The main difference in the 35-pound weight throw as compared to the hammer throw, all hammer throwers start with the classic winding position. Whether they wind the ball in or do a step wind, or whether they do winds to the front, everybody winds the ball. In the weight, that's not true. A lot of people will start on what we call the sling or the push start. The sling or the push start is where the athlete just takes the ball up into the pendulum fashion, and since it is so heavy and so short, they just use what we call a push start to get the ball going. So what we're going to address first is the push start. This is what I do with most beginners. Lance Deal threw the world record in the weight. He's done over 80 feet with the sling. He's done 80 feet with the wind. So it doesn't really matter. But at the collegiate level, when we're working with beginners, sometimes when they wind that heavy of a ball, it jerks them all over the place. Now, both of these guys are accomplished throwers, and they can handle the wind, although in competition, John threw 73 feet last year at the national championships for 3rd place. He did that off a sling start. Again, like the hammer, it can be done with either a toe start or a heel start. So what we're going to do is now bring Jake in, and we're going to do what we call a toe and one. A sling start, a toe turn to start, and then one heel. He's going to start about midway through the circle. Feet are even. He's going to turn on the toe of his left foot, throw it up to a heel, and deliver. The idea in the 35-pound weight as compared to the hammer is that the technique needs to concentrate more on the athlete moving in the direction of the throw. 180 becomes very important. Where the hammer is very upright and a constant sit back, the 35-pound weight throw needs to really move in the direction of the throw. We'll bring John in now. He's going to do a sling start, toe, and one. Feet are to the front. Pendulum up. Push. And heel and lift. Good. Now what you need to understand what happens here is as he brings that ball back, he's actively pushing with the hands the ball around to the left, and then when he lands here on the heel, he's letting the ball fall in here, so he creates his low point to a high point through his delivery. If you just always stayed flat with the ball, you deliver the ball there. The optimal release angle that we're looking for, whether it's the shot put, whether it's the 35-pound weight, or whether it's the hammer, is between 42 and 45 degrees, okay? Don't get all caught up in the biomechanics of that. Just realize that there is a low point. The low point is in front of you. The high point is to the sector, and you'll finish fine. Once the athlete can do the toe and one, since the toe turn is just like another wind or an accelerated entry, we'd like the athlete to be able to do 2 heel turns. So what we're going to do now is bring in Jake. Jake's going to do what he traditionally competes off of, which is a sling start, toe, and 2 heels. This is a rhythm throw. And a nice finish. Staying within the confines of the circle when he delivered the ball. That was a nice rhythm throw out near 60 feet. A very easy throw for him, but it was pretty technical. The weight is more difficult to learn the technique of multiple turns. A lot of kids can do the weight, can really just use a lot of strength and bad technique and throw it a decent distance off of one turn. But if you're ever going to progress above 50 feet, men or women, you're going to need to learn to do a multiple turn. So we're going to bring John in. John's going to do a toe and 2 heels. This is a rhythm throw. Push, up, up, finish. Okay? As you notice, stay right there, John. As you notice when John finished, he had plenty of room left in the circle. We're experimenting with him this year of actually doing a 4th turn. Because his footwork is so tight, recently we've been doing in practice a lot of 4-turn throws with him. But for the videotape today, we'll concentrate on the standard technique of toe and 2. What we're going to do is we're going to bring John in, and John's going to start on the heel. John, before he moved to Ashland, was a 2-heel turn thrower in college. He used the wind, and he did quite well, being the national champion 2 times, throwing 65 feet. Last year, in 1 year of training here at Ashland, he put an additional 8 feet on his weight by going to a toe and 2 heels and using the push start. Eventually, he may move back to the wind, but right now it's a learning process. So we're going to bring him in. He's a little bit more comfortable with the heel start, and we're going to do 3 heels off the sling. Heel in, 1, 2, 3, and a nice finish. Now that's about as easy as a 65 to 70 foot throw as you're ever going to see. The technique was not perfect. He got a little wide in the 2nd turn, but the key is, in hammer throwing, is that he kept the system turning. Too many people, when they get outside with the foot being a little bit wide, then their weight gets all pulled over. Can't have that. Even though John was wide with his knees in 2, he kept using the ball right around, and he finished with a nice 3rd turn. Okay, Coach, I don't like the sling. I like the wind. What we're going to do is we're going to bring Jake in. Jake is going to do a 1 wind. Usually in the weight, usually 1 wind is sufficient, because if you try to do too many winds, it ends up pulling you over your leg, and you lose that center system, which is so important, that apex or that triangle that we talked about earlier. So we're going to bring Jake in, and he's just going to do a 1 wind, toe and 1. toe, heel, finish. Nice. What I liked about that throw is you saw when he finished that throw, that ball was taking him into the direction of the throw, wanting to pull him off his feet. This is something that we look for in the 35-pound weight as opposed to the hammer that can get you that extra 3 to 4 feet in distance. Now we're going to bring John in, and John's going to be our one wind, two heel turn thrower. Going to start to pick this up to a tempo now. One wind in front of him, heel, and finish. Okay? Now, fell off that one a little bit at the end. So what we would try to get him to do is to try to drive that knee and that ball back around to the left side, and he'll do it better on his next throw. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring Jake back in. The next natural progression would be to go to one wind, toe and two. This is his competition technique. We'll take this at a tempo throw. Remembering that tempo throws are usually a little bit harder, may not be as technically sound as the rhythm throws, but they're the ones that produce the best distance. Again, it's not all out, but it's a strong ball. Pretty nice throw. That last throw of John's was 69, 70 feet, just off a nice tempo throw. He can throw farther if you want a little bit harder in a competitive situation. He's trying to use his best field technique while still being aggressive and using the ball. The weight throw will never look technically as pretty as the hammer throw does. The hammer is long. You get a long time to work that ball around you. It's more of a majestic event. The weight throw is more power, it's more speed. Yes, you need to have a certain amount of technique, but weak athletes and individuals, while sometimes can get a feel for the hammer, are often more difficult with the 35-pound weight due to the weight and the way that it can pull you side to side. Some of the common mistakes that I see in the weight throw is that when the athletes wind the ball, their hips are moving from side to side. And what that does is when they go to start, they have no stability. So what we're looking for is for the athletes to have a stable center, and that's why I think the push start, although you need an extra turn to get the ball going, I think is a more viable option for most collegiate athletes. If they just can't get the feeling of that push start and then working the ball up to a high point in 2 and 3, feel free to use the wind. The wind needs to have a little bit more of a low point, and the ball gets hit up more to 180 a lot quicker. And that's the difference between the toe start, the heel start, the wind start, or the sling start in the 35-pound weight. The drills for the weight can be done the same as the hammer. We don't do the wraparound drills, but we'll do the walk-around drills off this area. We'll do the right-hand drill with the weight. We'll do the left-hand drill with the weight. We'll do the board drill with the weight that we already showed you in the hammer. So these things can be done with the weight as well if that's what you want to do for drills. But again, I recommend the medicine balls, the broom, learning to turn, learn your footwork, and then transferring that into a competitive throw. And when you make that effort, don't worry about what the technique looks like. Make your best effort that goes the farthest distance. Take a look at it on videotape, try to make some technical changes and make it better for the next time. What we're going to do now is we're going to go into the weight room, and I'm going to give you the top 5 exercises for hammer throwers to do. We're not going to get into the techniques or how we vary the rep brackets, the sets. That'll be covered later in our weight training video. Okay, what we'd like to do now is address the weight room for hammer throwers, and we're not going to get too in-depth. We're just going to show you the top 5 or 6 exercises that hammer throwers can do to increase their power and strength. As I said before, we're doing a complete weight training video to go into our sets, reps, brackets, auxiliary exercises, and how we periodize that through an entire program. What we're going to do is we're going to start with Jake, and we're going to do a set of 5 on the power clean. As you can see, in most cases, it's nice if you have the rubber bumper plates. If you don't, we could bring John in here with his straps, and he'll show you that when you do that exercise, that even if you have steel plates, we can change that exercise a little bit so you don't have to bounce the bar on the ground, although the rubber bumper plates work better. What I would do is have John do his first rep from the floor and his next floor from the hang. So to do his first rep, he's using the weightlifting straps, which are fine. Helps with the grip. Does the first rep, and then his next four will just be from the kneecaps. He can get the same idea. Do one more rep, and then just let it down nice and slow, John, and set the weight down. So you don't necessarily have to have the bumper plates, but it does help in the weight room setting. The next exercise that we go to is called the power snatch. And this one we traditionally do from the hang. And so we probably have the athletes use the straps. So John's going to come in here. And the snatch is a little bit wider grip. What I'm going to have him do is stand up with this first to start the movement. Then I'm going to have him drop it slightly below his knees to mid-shin and then all the way to the top. And one more. Good. Those are the two main exercises, the power clean, which Jake did first, and the hang clean and the hang snatch, which John did, which helps the hammer thrower in his power training. We're going to now move to the leg training. The two most important exercises we do are the back squat and the front squat. The first exercise in leg training that we like to do is the back squat. The key here is to keep your back straight, your elbows under the bar, make sure that you go slightly below parallel, no half squats, no bending forward, and Jake's going to do 5 reps here. Notice that the bar rests up high on his shoulders, more in the Olympic lifting fashion. The elbows are under the bar. Squats down, the hips clear parallel. The back is straight, the chin is up. And then I'll help him spot this back and into the racks. We're now going to bring John in, and John's going to show you another variation of the squat called the front squat. The front squat is done more specific to throwing. As the bar in the back squat is behind you, it has a tendency to round the back a little bit. The front squat you'll see is done with a more upright position, and the bar is done in front. Basically going to start off in his power clean grip. Notice that his elbows come forward. Notice that his elbows are up and in, and the bar is resting back on his fingertips and in his deltoids. Again, notice the squatting motion going below parallel. What we're looking for here is full range of motion, good posture with the back, and perfect. Let's walk it back in. I'll spot him back into the racks. What I'd like to do now is show you how we finish off the exercises for the leg training and have Jake bring in a set of dumbbells for some dumbbell lunges. And the weight doesn't have to be very heavy. What we're trying to get here is motion. There's a dropping sensation that happens in the hammer where as the ball goes up to the high point. So we talk a lot about on the tape about having left knee flexion. The best way to get this flexion is to do some type of a dumbbell lunge. I'm going to bring Jake in right here. All he's going to do is he's going to get out into a nice stable position with the foot out in front, and he's going to lunge down. He's going to lightly touch the back knee to the ground. He's going to let the front knee travel forward over the toe. Again, keeping the good posture with the chest and the chin up. And good. We're going to have him switch legs. What we're trying to do is we're trying to stabilize this muscle down here by the knee, which helps strengthen the movement for the hammer. One of the last weight room exercises we're going to do is something for the obliques, and that's called a plate twist. And what we're going to have Jake do, if this is 0 degrees in the hammer, and we know that he wants to go to 180, we're going to have him start at 0. He's going to take the plate all the way to 180, then he's going to turn back to 180 on the other side. So it's a full range of motion to strengthen the obliques. It's a good torso trunk exercise. He's using a 10-kilo plate, which weighs 22 pounds. Keeping his head with the plate, working it from side to side. Very good. And what we like to do is we like to start with some type of either a power clean or a power snatch, move to a form of the back squat or the front squat, do some type of oblique or abdominal exercise, and then we like to finish up each workout with some type of dynamic movement. One of those movements is John will come in here and take this 10-kilo plate. He's going to stand right in this square, facing the mirrors. And what we're going to have him do is what we call a plate jump. And he's going to do 5 in a row, and he's going to try for maximum height. He's going to squat down to a half squat, up, 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 4, 5. Good. What this will do is this will help you improve your vertical jump. John's got a 35-inch vertical jump, which is among the elite in the country for someone who weighs 255 pounds. So the plate helps him as a plyometric effect. And if we don't do that one, what we might do is do some box jumps. Anybody can do that. You don't need if you have a weight room plate or whatever. If you have some type of boxes like we've got set up here, we've got 2 boxes. What I'm going to do is have John stand right in front of this box. And what he's going to do is he's going to jump to this box, which is about 24 inches, and then he's going to step down and he's going to jump up immediately to a 36-inch box. So we're going to have him jump to the first box, then he's going to step off lightly and then rebound right away up to the 36-inch box. Do it one more time. And we might have more boxes, or we might just have him do more repetitions, but usually 30 to 40 jumps. He's going to jump onto the box, lightly off, and then right back up and onto the high box. And that's how we like to finish our workout, with some type of dynamic movement. We started in the weight room. We've got some strength from the power cleans and the snatches. We worked our leg strength with the back squat and the front squat. We've worked our obliques and our abs and our trunks by doing the torso. And then we finished with some type of plate twist or dynamic box jumps. We don't want to be slow, brooding athletes. We want to be very fast, dynamic athletes. And that's what goes into making a good hammer thrower. We'd like to thank you for watching our video series. I'd like to thank Jake Brooks, John McEwen, and Adrian Blewett, who helped us with our discus video. And thank you.